Hi, I'm Lindsay, and today I'm going to teach you how to do something absolutely amazing, grilled cheese. Now, I know most of you have had grilled cheese growing up, but maybe you didn't pay attention to your mom, or maybe you were just lucky and had it brought to the table, but I love making grilled cheese, and I'm going to teach you. You can do lots of different kinds of breads or cheeses, but I like keeping it simple. We have a great sourdough. I'm not a big sourdough fan. I have to stick with the all white. I grew up on Wonder Bread, and that's just the way I roll. So first I'm going to turn on the oven and let it heat up a little bit. You don't want to turn it up too high, because if you do, it's going to cook too quickly without melting the cheese, and then you'll burn on one side and cook perfectly on the other. You can put a little pan in there if you want to do some spray pan, or like I like to do, I'm a butter fan. I know it may not be great for you, but I am. So I'm going to put a little butter in the pan and let that kind of melt around. Then I'm going to take a couple pieces of cheese and a couple pieces of bread. A lot of people just throw on one piece of cheese and think they're done. No, you gotta have two. You gotta have one on each side so you get the melty from each bite and not just a little bit of melty. I like a lot of melty. Now when you put the butter on the bread, make sure you get all the way to the edges. Otherwise you're gonna have that gooey, like crispy center, but the ends are just gonna be like toast. Which if you want it that way, go for it, but I definitely like getting my butter all the way to the end. And you're gonna do the same with both pieces. This is gonna be the outside, not the inside where the cheese is. So we've got our soft butter again. We're just gonna rub it all the way everywhere. And we got that butter going right there too. It smells good. Nothing like the smell of cooking butter in a pan. When I was in high school, the greatest thing about this, I had a friend who was a freak about food. She would only eat vegetables, and so she got this special kind of bread and this special dairy-free cheese, and I made her a grilled cheese. She fell in love. She started eating dairy again, because she's like, if it's this good, the real one has got to be amazing. I was like, duh, where have you been all your life? So right now, I'm just getting this butter around. All right. So now with the cheese, you can do any kind of cheese you want. You can do Gouda, mozzarella, I mean, pick a cheese. Your cheese is your poison and it's gonna be amazing. I'm the all-American girl, like I said. Grew up in the South, have to have it done with white bread, American cheese. 2 slices. So I'm gonna undo them both first because we're gonna throw them on and then throw it right on the pan. I know you guys are excited. You're wishing I was cooking this for you right now. I'm sorry, I can't be in everyone's living room. But okay, so the butter is gonna be on the outside. So I'm gonna very carefully, so I don't get butter all over my hand, which I have done that before, and if you do, it's okay, just wash it off. It won't hurt much. So I'm gonna do it at an angle, like that, and then with the other slice, I'm actually gonna do it the opposite way, and this gives full coverage of cheese and bread. So then with the butter on the outside, so we've got butter on outside of both pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pan. And it's gonna be amazing. And like I said, you can use whatever kind of cheese you want, whatever kind of bread you want. I mean, it's all good. Your grilled cheese is gonna be amazing regardless. I'm just a Wonder Bread and American cheese kind of girl. You know what you can also do that's super good? If you want to get all fancy with it, you can throw some bacon in there, or you can throw some pesto. You don't even have to make your own pesto. You just go to the store, get a bottle of pesto. Lucero makes a great one. Just put it on the bread, throw the cheese on top, and do it all the exact same way, but just throw a little extra something in there. I'm a squisher too. When I'm cooking it, I like to squish the bread down. And after I've cooked it a little bit on one side, I flip it, and that's just so that I can squish it down because you're obviously not wanting to sit and squish when it's fresh butter on top. Some people like it just a little bit soggy like this, and they want to take it out at this point. If you want to, it's all good. It's not going to hurt you. The cheese is just to the melting point, so it will still taste good. I like to have it a little bit cooked, a little bit brown. Right now, if you notice, it's all just yellow, and I want to get it a little bit darker brown, more like the color of the sides. Oh, see there. See how that's starting to go? That's exciting. Are you excited? I'm excited. So now that it's on there, I'm just turning up the heat a little bit because I'm wanting to get it done just a little bit quicker because the cheese is melted and I know it's going to be good. But like I said, I got to get it a little crispier. Now you don't have to squish like I'm doing. I'm just a squisher. That's what I like to do. If you want to press down on it, go for it. I'm just trying to get it more cooked and less wet from the butter. All right. See the smoke? That means I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the pan. And if you're excited right now, I totally understand, because that is a beautiful, beautiful grilled cheese. Now, you think you're done, but you're not. Because let me tell you what you have to do. You have to cut it at an angle, because if you don't, it's just not going to taste as good. So you cut it at an angle, and there is your perfect, perfect grilled cheese. Enjoy, everyone. It's hot, but good.
Hi, I'm Lana Zunder-Newman, and today we're going to be cooking grilled cheese. It's a simple but very comforting food, especially in weather like this when it's raining and it's cold outside. You just want to take a grab, like a warm grilled sandwich and a maybe tomato soup, and it just makes you feel cozy and warm inside. So what I like to do, I like to use a lot of butter. So we're going to go ahead and warm up our butter. You can use margarine if you want it to be healthy, or you can use, I can't believe it's not butter or anything like that, but I like to use real butter and the real flavor, and lots of it before I make my grilled cheese sandwich. Now, with a grilled cheese sandwich, you can use any sort of bread and cheese that you like. I like sourdough bread, so we're going to go ahead and do that today. So maybe take a tablespoon of butter. Make sure it's all nice and melted. Put that in here. Then with bread, you want to go ahead and make sure that the bread is really well buttered, not just from one side, but from both sides, so it's nice and crunchy and buttery when you bite into it. So let's make sure our butter is melted. Now, you don't want to burn the butter. You want to make sure that it's melted but not burned, because that's going to ruin the flavor of your grilled cheese sandwich. 1 second. There you go. I think it's nice and melted. We can put the bread, and the butter is going to continue to melt while it's getting fried. Put that right here. Now, with our cheese, you can go ahead and use 2 cheese flavors. That's going to make it richer and have a different distinct flavor from any other grilled cheese sandwich that you had. Here I have sharp white cheddar. Let's go ahead and open that. Now, let's make sure our bread doesn't burn. No, it's nice and buttery. Now, I like to use a lot of cheese. That's the key. You don't want to skimp on cheese, because you want it to have the flavor, you want it to have the richness, and you want it to be nice and gooey when you eat it. So just, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to melt. So go ahead and cut slices like this, maybe like 1 inch thick. And you want to make sure to check up on your bread so that way it doesn't burn. Let's see. Let's go ahead and flip it. And then we're going to add another cheese, which is Monterey Jack. So that's going to add a nice little flavor with the combination of the other cheese. Let's go ahead and get that open. Cheese is really sealed. It does not want to come out. There you go. So we have 1 type of cheese. Let's make sure check on our bread. Okay. So this slice is done. So we want to go ahead and keep it. We don't want it to burn. We want to go ahead and do the other slice. So we're going to add more butter to our pan. Make sure it's nice and melted. Woo! Really steamy here, huh? Look at that. So let's go ahead and add our second piece of bread. So while that's being done, let's cut up our other cheese. Same slices, about 1 inch. You want them all to be the same size, that way they melt evenly, and when you take a bite you have the same amount of both cheeses. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's gonna melt, but you want it to be somewhat even when you put it on the bread. Let's go ahead and check on this. Our bread is nice and buttery. So we can go ahead and add the cheese now, because see, this side is buttery and the other one is getting cooked. So while the other one's getting cooked, our cheese is gonna melt when we put it in here. So let's go ahead and add the cheese. And you can mix it up. Just make sure that each piece of bread has the cheese, so when you bite into it, it's nice and cheesy and gooey. There you go. Go ahead and do that. That looks pretty good. Put our other piece of bread on top. Add more butter, because we're gonna flip it and we want it to be nice and buttered. We don't want it to burn. It's gonna sort of melt just from the heat of the bread. Just kind of spread it around a little bit. Yeah, it's nice and melted. Let's go ahead and flip our bread. Ooh, nice and fried. Put more butter on top. Let me take this out. So now the key is you don't want it to burn, and because the pan was so hot, it's got a little bit more fried than it's supposed to, but that's okay, it's gonna taste great. So we're gonna take our grilled cheese, we're gonna cut it in half. Let's turn off our pan. There you go. So there you go, you have a nice warm grilled cheese sandwich, and it took less than 10 minutes. There you go.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and today we're going to make some grilled cheese. So what you need for the grilled cheese is just some everyday bread. We're going to use some white bread. And then cheese, we're going to just use some simple American singles. Make this a classic American meal. You can do as cheesy as you want. I think we're going to use 2 slices. I like cheese a lot. And then just some butter to make sure that the bread gets nice and toasty and buttery. So we're going to start, and you're going to butter one side of each slice of bread. It's good to let the butter sit out for a little bit so it can warm up, because otherwise, if you take it right out of the fridge and try and spread it, you're going to tear your piece of bread and have clumps of butter, and that's no good. So just have a nice even coat and try and get it everywhere. So that's fine. Then do the other slice as well. And if you want to make this a little healthier, you can always choose some wheat bread or multigrain bread, and some low-fat cheese if you want to. Otherwise, you could just indulge. It's not too bad. All right, so our bread is buttered, and we're going to turn on our pan. Okay, so now that we have our pan working, we're going to turn it probably to about medium-high. You want it hot, but you don't want it too hot, because if it's too hot, your bread's just going to burn before your cheese even melts. So we're going to turn the slices over and add our cheese on the non-buttered side. Remember that. So we're going to unwrap our American singles and throw those in the middle. It's a little soft right now. Doesn't have to look pretty, just has to taste good. All right. So let's do that. And then one more slice. Like I said, depends how cheesy you want to make it. You can also add different types of cheese based on your palate. I know kids a lot of times just like simple American cheese slices. Just for picky palates, it's the safest way to go. All right, so now we're gonna throw this on the hot pan. Oh, you hear that sizzle? That's good. Now we're gonna wait just a little bit, and this takes some paying attention because you have to keep checking to make sure your bread's doing okay. You don't want to burn it. It's not good. So if you just keep, you should have a spatula on hand, obviously. You just gotta keep flipping it over. It's looking like it's coming nicely. You definitely want to make sure that your cheese is melted enough before you take it off, but it's gonna take about a minute or two on each side. Really simple, easy. The hardest part is probably flipping it. Not too bad, just make sure you have a good spatula that'll fit right underneath. And yeah, so let's check it and see how it's doing. Well, it's looking nice and good. So yeah, it depends. I don't know. I like my grilled cheese not too burnt. Some people, really like it nice and crispy. So that's how I like mine. So that was about, a minute. Not bad. And this is on just about medium heat. So we're gonna give it, and it looks like the cheese is melting nicely in there. So that's good. Try and keep the 2 pieces of bread as on top of each other as you can so the cheese doesn't get too out of control, even though that's part of the awesomeness of grilled cheese is the cheese going everywhere. I'm a cheese lover. So let's check that other side. That looks awesome. So I'm gonna flip it. So you see this side? It's nice and crispy, and that side is too. So that's how you make grilled cheese. Looks awesome. And watch this, this is the best part. Yeah, you see that cheese, the gooiness, it's melted enough, awesome. Then make sure you turn your pan off so as not to start any house fires. Thanks, guys.